everyone, and welcome to Akron Buzz. Our guest here in the studio is Yoly Miller, multimedia journalist.
Yes.
Wonderful, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And your resume, very impressive in terms of all the things you've been involved in. And why are you so passionate about citizen journalism, and especially the aspect of covering things in Akron live?
Because nobody else is doing it. We don't have a television station. We don't really have a section in the Akron Beacon Journal that does this. A lot of the things that I cover are underground, or it's an old band that people, they've heard about them and they don't realize they're doing new things, or they're a new band that people don't realize exist. Art galleries that just opened or are about to close. They're just things that don't grab headlines, but people in Akron should know about, because the more time they spend in Akron, the more money they spend in Akron, the more taxes we collect, the more we fix Akron up.
What are the challenges in building an audience for local journalism? In other words, how can we make these entities like the Akronist or the Devil Strip or a local television station or a newsroom more successful? What needs to happen in the community for people to really, you have a wonderful audience and a following, but what needs to happen? Is it the sponsors? Is it people's interest in local news? What's your feeling on it?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about.
Right.
Because if you're talking about money, making money, paying people, I don't have the answer for that. We've been trying to figure that out for the last 5 years on our own, and it's hard because it's expensive. But if we're talking people and engaging people and getting people to read or to come out and participate, then we need to start talking about people and highlighting people. It's great. They tell this story, a company comes in and hires a lot of people, and they increase our tax base. Nobody wants to read about that. Yeah, they're excited that we have more revenue, but what people? Who are they hiring? What are those people like? Are they people that are coming from out of the city, or are there people that already live in the city? People want to read about themselves. They love their city, but ultimately they want to read about themselves. And when I go into an art gallery and experience a great show, I use the visual of the picture or the video to show the art, but what I'm talking about is the artist. I'm talking about the gallery owner. I'm talking about the group of people that came together to bring this show to you. And they get to read about themselves, their friends get to read about themselves, their parents, their coworkers. People want to know about themselves. They want to be important. And for what they're doing, they are, and somebody needs to talk about it.
Where's this passion come from, this drive you have to tell these stories, or to get to things live and share the story, almost as you said, to get to the event and tell the community what's happening? Where does this passion come from?
I don't know. Frustration. I got frustrated with people telling me there's nothing to do. And then I would say, well, this, and this. You can go do any of these things. And they would be like, but, it's construction, it's hard, I can't get there, it's at a weird time, So there's all these excuses. I was like, look, if I can do it, I have 7 kids. They all go to different schools. I have to feed them. I have to be home. I have responsibilities, and I can still get out to these things. Your argument is invalid. So it was just frustration.
We were talking earlier, and you said, this is a skill that I have because I did this as a young person in school. And what first started your interest in journalism, and what was that life experience? And then it led you to, your life led you to Akron, Ohio, and you're able to use that here for our benefit, for the community's benefit. But where did it start? Yeah. Where did it first?
High school.
Yeah.
High school journalism. I wanted to be a photographer for the paper. I loved their black and white pictures. I never read any of the stories because I was just looking at the pictures. But I'm a writer. Whether I want to be or not, I'm a writer. But I love photography. I love art. And so I took a journalism class to learn photography. And the teacher, everything he did was a lesson, whether he meant for it to be or not. And it was constantly, you have to be unbiased. You got to take the I out of the story. You can't put your opinion into a story. If you put your opinion in there in any way, shape, or form, it's not a news story anymore. He just constantly correcting and leading us down this path that said, I've heard news stories on TV where the reporter, he's reporting on some guy who assaulted someone and calls him a scumbag. The minute he says scumbag, it's no longer a news story. It's a commentary. And so it's like, every time I hear that, I can hear my teacher's voice in the back of my head correcting that.
Journalism 101.
Journalism 101.
Absolutely.
And it helps with parenting too.
That's right. You got to teach the basics. Absolutely. So how would you compare or explain to someone citizen journalism versus traditional journalism? Is that even a term? Can I say traditional journalism or the media versus citizen journalism? And maybe there is a little bit of what you're bringing is journalism 101 to citizen journalism. How does
so
this
it's all
compare?
journalism.
Right.
It's all journalism, whether it is somebody who works for an established newspaper or television station, or someone who's on the street and sees a story. If you're taking steps to report that story without bias, that's journalism. And it's hard. There are a lot of people who, everybody has a cell phone nowadays, or almost everyone, and you see a fight and you start recording. And if you can hear the person talking, saying, oh, she just hit her and she just pulled her hair. That is like a play-by-play. You're reporting a sports story, right?
It's a boxing match.
Yes, but if the person behind the camera is disparaging either individual, then it's not a news story, but it's still journalism. With citizen journalism, and I found it in Akron is very different from citizen journalism elsewhere, because here, a lot of our citizen journalists have been trained in the basics of journalism, journalism 101. So we know, we don't shoot pictures of children without permission. We don't shoot in private property without permission. We follow the rules, for the most part. Anybody that does that is a good journalist, and that's what we do. Other places, they just start recording, start shooting, start writing. Citizen journalism citizen journalist just means that you don't get paid for what you do.
The Devil Strip, a phenomenal publication. Started in 2015, perhaps?
Right about there.
In that
yeah.
era. And describe your experience in contributing to the Devil Strip and describe the connection with the audience. The Devil Strip is phenomenal. Tell me your take on what it's like to work as a contributor, as a writer, and have your work on that platform.
Well, it's cool. You see a byline in print. That is really cool. Nothing beats that except maybe on a book, right? The journalists at the Devil Strip are the audience, and the audience of the Devil Strip are the journalists. Anyone who has a story to contribute can take that story, take those pictures to the editor, and if the editor likes it, and if it meets all the guidelines, they will use it, and they'll pay you for it. Same thing with the Acronists. You have a story, it's well written, it's timely, they will read it, edit it, and if they like it, they will use it. The difference is that you don't get paid with the Acronist, but you still own that story. So it's your story. If it makes a splash, you can take that story and you can sell it to whoever you want to sell it to. With the Devil Strip, they're buying the story belongs to them.
Sure.
So, you either get paid one way or another, but they're just two different portals to the same end.
We'll finish today with a question about your opinion about how important these entities are to the community. And what an incredible asset to the community, an organization like the Akronist or the Devil Strip, and certainly our media outlets and the Beacon Journal, all of them, very important to the community. And you wouldn't realize it until they were gone. And so you were very passionate about local journalism and citizen journalism and writing and telling the stories, as we said, of things that might not make the other media outlets. Yeah. How important is all of this to the Akron community?
They're all important. They're all equally important. The Beacon Journal opens the door to politics for us. They open the doors to city council, to the mayor's office, to corporations that are influencing how our economics well-being is here in the city. Without them, we lose that. The Devil Strip is still in its infancy, but they cover the culture. They cover fashion shows, drag shows, they cover marble tournaments, they cover everything that is not in the Beacon Journal. The Akronist covers culture, but in a different way. It's immigrants and poverty and schools. Without all three working together, we wouldn't know what's going on. It's hard enough now to know what's going on in Ellet if you're in downtown, and what's going on in Kenmore if you're in South Akron. Kenmore, South Akron are so close, but it's a world apart. And without all three, we wouldn't know what's happening. I mean, it's hard enough to know what's happening now. But it'd be great if they all became, they all work together and they all, we have this triad of information and everybody partook from it. But like I said, again, it's in its infancy. The Beacon Journal has been around a long time, but they're trying to figure out this new market. And the Devil Strip is growing up in this new market. And the Akronist is, it's all online. It's all on the internet. It's accessible to anyone who can access the internet, and it's free. And one is a subscription-based newspaper that's owned by everyone. The other one is a for-profit. Without all three, it doesn't work, because you leave out a voice. And when you start leaving out voices, that's when you create boxes and separation. And we need more. We need more media. We need more newspapers.
Yes, we do.
We need a television station.
Yes, we do.
It used to be great.
Final question I have, that's always my line, a final question, then there's 3 more final questions. But the floor crew here and director are waving at me that we've gone a little over, but I have enjoyed chatting about local media and could probably talk another hour. I will ask, is there a story you would absolutely love to tell? Or is there a group that you feel like in Akron that you would really love to be their voice and you just haven't quite gotten to it yet? Where do you see it going in terms of the time going forward you might spend? What story would you like to tell?
We talk a lot about immigrants in Akron. We have North Hill, we have the International Institute. Mm-hmm. And it feels to me that sometimes it's the immigrant of the day. Whoever gets the most media that's the community we're talking about. I met with a Persian woman who at one point was the immigrant of the day, and her frustration and her anger and her pain at how she is treated is very palpable, but nobody's talking about it. There's a big Hispanic community in Akron that nobody's talking about, and they have a lot of problems and they have a lot of triumphs, and nobody talks about either one of them. Those who are not in the major groups, they're not here or here or here, but they're there, don't have a voice, don't get noticed, and therefore they're dismissed. It's like they have no issues, no problems. And I wish I could speak for all of them at one point or another, but it's just me. I can't do that.
And with
I don't have enough time.
7 kids and other life, work, and
Yes.
passion balance.
Yeah.
And
And I try, and
Certainly.
sometimes you talk to other people, you talk to other journalists, and there's this is happening in this community, and they're like, we didn't know we had X kind of people here, or we didn't know this group existed, or wow, when did they get here? And it's like, this is Akron. It's like a military town without the military.
That's pretty good. Well, that's a good one to end on. The floor director waving at me and I could talk about local media with you for another hour. So I appreciate your time coming in and sharing your
Thank
thoughts.
you.
And
Thank
Yoly Miller has been our guest, multimedia journalist, and certainly involved with great organizations like the Devil Strip and the Akronist, and certainly a great person here in our community. And I'm glad we got a chance to talk to her and just get to know her. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.